Let me ask you guys a question. When does a family relationship build an incredible business? Stay tuned. Well, I'm really excited about our guest today. They have a very similar story to a story that I started with a long time ago, about 45 years ago. I got started with my father-in-law in the business. And this story today is about a father-in-law and a son-in-law. And I was the son-in-law back then. And our friend Kyle is that son-in-law today. You guys welcome Jay Redding and Kyle Cassidy.
Hi, Eddie.
How are you, fellas?
We're doing great. We're glad to be here.
Kyle, I think about you, sir, every time my Facebook page rolls up that picture of you and you're holding your kid and stuff. And I think about, like, first and foremost, you're a good family man. I know your father-in-law, Jay, knows that and sees that. And anyway, it does my heart good because, you know, sometimes we're out there in the business and we're in a business and we're like, man, this is hard. This business is hard to inherit, or this business has a lot of stress to it. And it's not what I want my other family members to do. And what I'm really fired up about is you guys reached a point with a mutual decision that this note business is a better path going forward. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what that journey's been and how you reach some of those decisions.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, fellas, tell us a little bit about your background, both of you, before we get started into how where you've been all along this journey.
Kyle, let Kyle go first.
Sure. So I graduated college in 2011. Really didn't know where I wanted to go or what I wanted to be. And so my wife and I moved, and she was getting a master's degree. Jay then came to both of us and said, hey, I have this business that I like to keep in the family. Wondered if you want to join. So at the time I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we moved up here and joined him in 2014, doing rental properties mainly, and flips as well. So I joined him. He had already been doing it since 2004. And he needed help with the business. So he hired his son-in-law to come join him.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we have around 40 rental properties that we self-manage. And that is now transitioning and changing. And then at the time we were also flipping about 3 to 4 homes a year. So that was definitely our business model for at least a solid 10 years. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Jay, what about you, sir?
Yeah, my background, I was in pharmaceutical sales for 17 years. All right. And even before that, I was a track and field coach, a Division I track and field coach, and started doing some real estate investing on the side in 2004. I did my first deal. And then I got downsized. All right. And 2007, we had a few rentals, had done a few flips by that time, and just decided to go, let's go for it. Let's go full tilt. So lived on my wife's teacher salary, all right, and was not bankable, all right. So that presented a unique challenge as well. But had a great credit score, all right, but a lot didn't do any good because it didn't have a W-2. But then, so over the years, we've done a number of flips. We've done the rentals. I've purchased tax liens. I've done private lending out of self-directed IRAs. And Kyle's actually the one that kind of got us looking more into the note strategy. All right. And looking at that as we really started talking, all right, what's this look as we start transitioning me out somewhere down the road and to him. And it's like, the big question was, what do you really want to do? And he says, well, I don't want to manage rentals for the rest of my life. And I get that. So, so that is how we really got started looking at notes, did our research, who we felt was experienced and has an experienced team behind them and is still doing it versus, just slick marketing. And your name certainly came up in that, and we checked you out thoroughly, and you're a real deal, and we can say you still are the real deal, so that's good.
Yeah. And I've placed a heavy emphasis on that, right? Being a guy that teaches a business that we still do and that we have done a lot and that we could bring a lot of value to it. And I consider you guys to be model students, right? Now, Kyle, I don't know that you can tell everybody in every situation that your old daddy-in-law used to deal in drugs.
Yep. This one I can.
But we got him off of that now, right?
Yeah, we got him off the drugs. There you go.
He's clean. He's good.
Hey, let's say this. When my daughter was young, like kindergarten, first grade, you know, what's your daddy doing? He said, don't say drugs. Just say, we taught her how to say pharmaceutical.
Oh, well, the industry is glad that you guys transitioned into it. So I want to kind of go back. You obviously, you know, Jay, you had a decade in doing this before you got Kyle involved. And Kyle, I will say one thing that's funny, and I've seen this a lot, and I see this in my own kids, right? Even though we're really seasoned, sometimes if we're younger and we come in, we just see things a little differently than the old man saw it. You know what I'm saying? And what I appreciate about you is that you saw this rental property management, which, by the way, drives me crazy. And my father-in-law was in rentals heavily, right? It's not so fun, you know, and it's got its drawbacks, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. It was something that I came in. I really did not know anything about property management when I first joined. And so it was something that I had to learn for sure. And over time, it was fine. I got good at it, but I was like, there's got to be something more where we can still make this income without all this extra stuff on top of it, dealing with people and tenants and toilets and trash and all that fun stuff. So that's where I really started to shift of like, okay, we have this extra money from private lenders that we can use. Why don't we go and see if there's something else we can do with that? And that's where the note space kind of came into play.
When did you guys join Note School?
2000
had to be, I believe, April of 2019. Yeah.
19. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was an interesting era.
Very
Well,
much
that's
so.
for sure.
we went through a year, and then all of a sudden the virus showed up.
Yes.
Yep.
You know,
And you know what? That actually slowed, I think, our progression down just a little bit because we were dealing with everything that was going on the rental side, trying to get these people to get them assistance and everything. So our focus was truly still on the rentals at that point. And we were learning things, but we probably weren't really, how do I want to say, executing things on the note side yet at that point.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we run the math, and I don't know if this is exactly your math, but when we run the math across the country, a rent house in 2018 had essentially double the net income. This is assuming you didn't have a mortgage against it, just so you can compare it equally, right? But it had double the net income that it does today.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that we purchased back in 2008 through, I'll say 8 through 15, all right, is pennies on the dollar. And the cash flow was really good on that. And, you know,
But it would be double the money if you seller finance the same house.
Yes, absolutely. Now,
You agree with that?
Yeah. Now the problem is
100%.
we've got all this appreciation. All right. We've got all of that's taken place, but we're not able to harvest the appreciation because the rents haven't kept up with all the appreciation and the expenses and labor and materials and all that. It just hasn't kept up with it.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to seasoned landlords all the time, and I say owning a rent house that you bought way back when is like owning a stock you owned way back when. It went up in value. You just didn't get a check for it today.
Yep.
That's right. And your property taxes are still being paid.
Yeah. That once again, we've run this math enough that we've seen a pattern to it. And a rent house's income was about double in 2018 compared to what it is today. The net income.
Yeah.
Right. Based on value, its net income is the same. It just doubled in value and you didn't get paid any more money for it. You sell it finance, you get double, you get paid for it. I want to go back a little bit and like you guys haven't completely abandoned your rental portfolio, yet you like notes better. That's kind of what I'm getting, right? Like where is that at, and how do you see what's the progression of doing something about that?
You want to do that, Kai? You want me to do it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Essentially, we have run this modeling of what you've talked about across our portfolio, and we have made the decision of seller financing some of our lower end rentals. All right, mainly because they're in areas where we just don't think we're going to get that much more appreciation, and we don't think we're going to get that much more rent out of it. And we can sell and make 2.5 times to 3 times more cash flow, all right, on those properties without what I call feeding the beast, all right, with having to do the capital improvements that you have to do on the rentals. You have to keep feeding that beast, whereas the paper it's just all cash flow. And we're essentially, Eddie, you'll appreciate this. I grew up on a hog and dairy farm, and the term of cull the herd, all right, which is essentially, it's a terminology for those that don't know anything about farming. Basically, you're weeding out the animals that are not genetically strong, they're not growing fast, they're not growing the way they're supposed to. And we're essentially doing the same thing within our portfolio. So we have designated which ones that we are going to be gradually sell off. As our note company continues to grow and expand, we will continue to sell those off. And our good ones, which don't require nearly as much effort to manage, we plan to keep, because we don't know when the market might shift again. I mean, as we all know, real estate runs through cycles, and it's like we're at a point where our rentals are pretty much almost all paid off. They cash flow fine, and it's like we're moving that over to professional property management. So that's off of Kyle's desk, and that our focus then will be running the note business totally. So that's kind of how we're going.
So you've gone through a process where you've integrated notes. You haven't completely abandoned real estate. So you're really kind of running two businesses, a traditional real estate investing business, and then a note investing business, or in some cases, you've created a note on a property. So you've manufactured your own note.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
What do you see like? Why do you like this better than where you were?
So for me specifically, the rentals were sucking a lot of time for me. Not just because they were rentals, but because we were self-managing them. We wanted to make sure our properties were good properties in good areas, and that our tenants were well taken care of. And we've done that. However, now it's like, okay, we need to move and start looking at it from an investment mindset. What is our time worth, really? And that has transitioned with us building this note business. We've realized that our time is much better spent dealing with either purchasing notes or moving to the note business rather than maintaining rental properties. And so that has been the big shift for us to see, okay, we still want rentals because they still provide value. They still provide an asset that we like and will appreciate. But we don't need to be in it day to day with that. And whereas the notes, the day to day looks very different than what a day to day for a rental property would be.
I would adjust on this from the standpoint as well. I look at it as you get into the rentals and you hold rentals for a period of time, you're going to have big expenses that you're going to have to take care of. You're going to have to replace a furnace. You're going to have to replace a roof. We've got and that's on top of, if you have a tenant that's going to trash the property or something like that. That's what I call, you have to keep feeding the beast. Well, how much you have to keep feeding that beast, okay, has skyrocketed, okay, over the last few years because of all of the just the increase in the expenses of everything. And it's like, okay, we're getting into our higher level properties are better houses. They're in better condition. They're not as old. And as a result, they don't take nearly as much for us to feed that beast as some of our older properties in lower income areas. So I look at it from that standpoint as well.
So there's two things, right? Is it basic math though? Even the best of your properties, if they netted $1,000 a month, a seller finance could rent you more than $2,000 a month on the same house?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it doubles. Okay, there's no question. It's at least double to 2.5 times. Okay. I still like the fact of having the assets. That's a personal preference. Okay. Yep. But we don't need 40 of them and we don't need 20 of them. That's in lower income areas. Just to be honest. So, because of the labor. All right, the labor it's involved. And getting that off of Kyle's plate. And we have those so that they're free and clear. All right. And we've got professional management. We're still getting the benefits of the rentals. Okay. All right, and it frees up Kyle's time, my time for us to really grow and expand. And there may be a point down the road where we end up selling all the rentals off, but we're not to that point just yet in our business.
And I love that response, because truth of the matter is, I'm not trying to go tell everybody you would sell every rental, but there are, in virtually every rental portfolio, you're going to have some properties essentially raise their hand.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
I want to talk about a big factor that I hear from landlords every day. And as you guys know, I'm in a number of masterminds and I hang out with some ninja landlords on a regular basis. And that is the brain damage factor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is, I just sort of made this up. So I'm not saying it's not some statistic I can go to and it tells me this, right? But I say you can own 55 rentals or 1,000 notes for the same level of work either way, right?
The notes are way easier. There's just no question. So Kyle will, I'm sure, will attest to that too.
Oh yeah. Going back to the day-to-day operations of it, yes, there's a lot more upfront. Maybe not a lot more, but there's upfront work with a note for sure. You have to make sure you're buying the right note that fits your portfolio. But once you buy right and you look at all the details, man, it is smooth sailing compared to buying a good rental property.
Do you really think it takes more time to look at a note than it does a rent house before you close on it?
No, not more time.
But it takes, either one takes some due diligence.
Sure.
Exactly. That's more of what I was trying to say. Yeah.
I got it. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump the fence a little bit with you. We're convinced that you like notes. You don't hate rentals. You don't love them like you do notes, but you're not abandoning that strategy completely, which I totally get. But what you've done really well is figured out how to build your own bank. Mm-hmm. Now, on the surface, if I'm listening to this today, like, oh, check, yes, build my own bank. Fellas, how do you do
that? Takes effort. Okay. This kind of goes back from when I got downsized. When I got downsized, I was not bankable. Okay, had an 800 plus credit score. Okay, but a bank wouldn't touch it because I didn't have a W-2. So the only way I was going to grow that portfolio at that moment in time was essentially I had to go find private money. And fortunately, I actually had done some deals. We had done some flips. We had some rentals. I had proof of concept. So I basically put a little portfolio together, for lack of better terms. And I just started talking with people, friends, family, associates, and say, hey, I'm growing a business out. This is some of the stuff we've done. This is what we're looking to do. This is how we can pay private capital. All right. Do you know anybody that might be interested? I didn't necessarily ask them directly. Okay. I asked them, do you know anyone that might be interested in getting an above average return that's secured by real estate after going through the whole presentation?
You were
credibility kit. Yeah.
You were looking for them to loan you money against a house.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Right. And we did that both on the flip side. We did that for the short term, and we did that also on our long-term rentals. We would fix our rentals up. I did have a line of credit, which did help. All right. We'd use that to purchase the home, fix it up, and then once we knew, it was the Burr method, but with private capital is what it basically is. And those of you who are in the rental game, you'll understand what the Burr method is. So, but it's you buy, you rehab, you refinance, and our refinance was with private capital. That's what it was. We paid a little bit more interest rate than what we could have at the banks, but honestly, you do deals after, one after another, and now and then once you got them on board, you ask them, who else do you know? Could you introduce them to me? And it's just working their network. So we literally have built our private bank out of just working people's networks is what it's been.
Little news flash, fellas. On our deal lab, our high-end coaching, we're going to model out a Burr versus a seller finance on the identical house today. And let me give you a little tip for the future. Seller financing is going to crush.
It will.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we are in the note space.
I'll see you on the deal lab later today, and we can talk about how that works. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So now a house is an asset, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, is a note an asset?
Very much so it is.
So I could borrow money against a note, just like I could borrow money against a house.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So the asset becomes the note. The note still has value to it. When you put a house up for collateral with traditionally a note and mortgage, you can do the exact same thing with a note. It's not called a mortgage, but it's very, very similar.
You've collaterally assigned.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Correct. And so we've used that same method that we used on the rentals, we used in the note space to help, I'll say, churn our money around so that we can keep going out and buying more deals.
So you've now essentially built your own bank with notes,
Mm-hmm.
where you've taken money in and you've paid interest on the money you've taken in. This is kind of like what your bank does, right? Your bank takes your cash and pays you a little something on it, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Then your bank loans money to me and charges me way more than they're paying you.
Way more.
Yes. At least 4 points more.
And so by the way, you're offering a great deal for passive investors, right?
Yeah.
Passive lenders, right?
Passive, yeah.
That's a great deal for them. You're
is.
giving them, you hadn't had any problems. People have always gotten their money. They're secure. They can earn more than they can putting it in the bank, right?
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you're just basically running your own little mini Wall Street business.
You kind of are.
Mm-hmm.
So, the biggest thing, I'll say our avatar, okay, of who is our private lender. It's really 3 different avatars. Number one, the busy business owner, busy professional business executive, something like that. They want an above average return, but they don't have the time to do the research, and they have money in, say, the market, all right, but they don't want all the volatility in the market. Okay. We basically serve it up so it is, they literally do nothing. They just collect, they don't even collect a check because we ACH it into their account every month by the 15th of every month. The second avatar is the individual that's close to retirement. If the market goes south on them, they don't have time to recover. All right. And they're getting a little more nervous.
They can't afford a big stock market drop.
No, they can't afford a 2008. It would crush them. So they're looking for a little bit more security, and they're looking for some cash flow that they can actually live off of down the road. And again, we provide that security because what we are buying has a lot of the notes that we buy have a lot of equity compared to the value of the house that's ultimately backing up the note. So if anything would go wrong, all right, and we have to foreclose, the likelihood that we're going to be able to get their money out is exceedingly high, as well as, quite honestly, we would just take it over and move them to a different note is what we do at this point in time. The third avatar is someone who is in retirement right now, and they're wanting some cash flow, and they absolutely don't like the volatility of the market. Eddie, you always do the coyote and the bunny rabbit analogy. That must be a Texas thing. We compare the old fable of the tortoise and the hare. All right. The bunny rabbit, all right, and the hare, all right, that's the market. You never know which way a bunny rabbit's going to go. You start chasing the rabbit, you never know which direction he's going to go. Yeah. But we're Mr. Steady Eddie, okay, all right, with the tortoise. And who wins the race in the long run? All right, the tortoise does. Well, you don't have to get the high returns if your money is constantly working on a consistent basis for you at an above average fixed rate return that is exceedingly well secured. That's a pretty doggone good investment.
I've done really well with private money. We have more private money coming to me right now as the founder of NoteSchool, quite honestly, gentlemen, in the last 60 or 90 days than I've ever seen. And that is because people don't have other things to invest in that are as good as what they could do with notes. Rent houses aren't making money, and they're a pain, right? And they're not buying them in yesterday's prices like y'all were buying them in yesterday's prices.
No.
And the other thing is you've invested in a syndication and you got no control.
Right.
And people wake up and figure out investing my money when I got no control ain't very fun sometimes.
And you're typically last on the food chain if anything goes wrong.
You're the top of the money, not the bottom of the money.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to get to this part because I think this is the best part of all. You guys are smart businessmen. I want to say this to the audience. One of the things that we try to instill in our NoteSchool family, and these guys are definitely part of it, or be go-givers and be people that you can believe in, that you can trust, that they do the right thing and they make good decisions. They always think about their investors first, and you guys are world-class at that. I just want to tell you, you're good ambassadors for our industry and for NoteSchool. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Eddie.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Now I want to talk about the most important part. What can you inherit? I had a couple of gentlemen at my class a week or two ago seasoned rental guys, for sure, veteran guys. And one of them's up in their 70s. And I said, you can't inherit that rental in portfolio. And he said, my wife and I figured that out. Guy's not quite that age, and he's got a bunch of rentals up way up in kind of your neck of the woods. And I said, it's not an inheritable investment. It's not inheritable. Like, Kyle, think about the fact that if your young son, and he's now, he grows up, and you go forward 20 years, and son, I'm going to give you this rental portfolio. Mom and I are going to go on to heaven, and we're going to, like, what do you think would happen? They would call the realtor before they left the cemetery. Am I right?
That's exactly right.
I think Kyle will probably do that before I meet.
So that's kind of, I'm putting death and humor a little bit in the same thing. So I'm not trying to be risky here. It's just right.
Fully understood.
Yes.
So I want to talk about like we talk a lot about legacy. We talk about not giving the silver spoon, right? Not that we know that's not a great gift. Giving your kids something they've never worked for, they have no capacity to manage or understand the investment, that's not really a great deal, right? But what does legacy look like for you guys, and what progression do you see yourself at?
Yeah. I'll let you start, Jay.
Okay. I look at it from the standpoint as I'm getting older. I love what I'm doing. I've had different people ask me, when are you going to retire? And I said, I am retired. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it. I can work as hard as I want. I can take time off when I want. All right. And as long as I continue to enjoy what I'm doing, okay. I told my wife many years ago, if you expect me to retire and just sit around and eat bonbons or do something, you might as well just shoot me. Okay, and put me in the grave right away, because that'll be misery to me. I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
But this allows me it keeps me mentally stimulated. It keeps me involved. All right. It allows me to have a purpose that helps our family and helps to the next generation. And if I get to the point where I don't have the faculties, then it's time for me to step aside, and Kyle has full authority to tell me it's time. Okay, so, but it allows us to have a great lifestyle. It allows us to have flexibility, and I have comfort. All right, from the standpoint of I'm passing on something to our legacy. All right.
Yeah.
Not only from myself to my wife, but then from my wife to our son-in-law and our daughter, all right, and their family to the next generation, that they're not starting from scratch all over again. Okay. It's continuing to build over time. And I've got total confidence in Kyle. He'll be able to handle that at any time. All right. And, I'm happy to help support growing that, is what I would say at this point.
So Kyle, I'm gonna hand it to you, but I'm gonna make a statement to you before I hand it to you. Okay.
Sure.
You remember I'm you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I'm also Jay.
That's right.
Because I don't want to retire, because I'm 65 and I can't imagine doing something that I love more than this. My wife loves her house and her yard, both of which I suck at. Right. And I'm pretty good at fixing deals, although I'm not good at fixing the sprinkler. Right. And so Kyle, you're that next generation up. And by the way, you're going to be better at it than he is. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. What's that look like for you?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll be better, but I will be maybe different than how he operates it. And in turn, that may be better
because of years of practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure in the note space.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of what I see. Jay has provided for me and my family something that, like you said, it's not a silver spoon, but it is a teaching and a growth that I wouldn't be able to get anywhere else or from anyone else. And so that's what I also want to pass down to my two boys is I see it more of how some people look at investing or trying to understand. A lot of people just were never told what to do with their money or how to operate, or I see it a lot with my tenants. They just don't understand money. And so I see that as the note space as something that I can show my boys, hey, this is how money can work, how deals can be made, how investing can be done. And I want to provide that for them so that they have the groundwork to continue to move that forward. And I think that's what Jay has instilled in me to look at. And I think that's especially what I want to provide for my boys, not just the asset part, which is great, but the understanding of how to work those assets and how to make them part of what your business looks like.
Teaching a person how to fish rather than just handing them a fish.
Listen, it's my father-in-law. I got my dad in the business at 68 years old. Jay, you've been around my kids.
Mhm.
You know, Kyle, you've seen my kids. Like it's it's something that is taught. I'm saying somebody can go the long path, but they get too pummeled up, right? Learning how to do things correctly and follow the right things after being taught from somebody that knows in front of you is a way easier path than getting the pummeled path, right? We can do it. We're tough enough to go tough it out and do it, but it's not the right way to do it. And you lose a lot of money along the way when you do it that way.
You can.
Fellas, I want to tell you something. I respect you guys, really. I most respect you as a person. You're great investors. You're smart, but you guys make some very good life decisions. That's very obvious to our Note School family. And so I would say to you that I just think somehow God put this in your path. I think he put it in mine.
Yep. I would 100% agree.
Yes, going through Note School, learning from you has changed our trajectory, our future tremendously. So I consider it a tremendous honor to be able to have learned this business from you. All right, and it's just made a world of difference for our family and for future generations. There's no question about that.
That's awesome. Well, I'm just a vessel.
Yep, we all are.
But I did find something I loved, and I have got those 100,000 hours on it now. So I know a few ways not to do it, right?
Well, I think we all if we can learn from those mistakes, then that's money well spent. Okay.
Fellas, it has been great. Thank you so much. Just a really terrific to see you guys. If you like what they talked about, then let's talk a little bit about a discovery that you could do. Go to noteschool.com/TV, and we have a discovery class. It's not super long. It's very innovative in showing you how you could draw your family business somewhat like Jay and Kyle have, or maybe you just do it by yourself. Check it out. We'll see you guys next week. Type in your comments. We love to hear from you. Bye-bye.